This open meeting of the Board of Selectmen Interview Committee is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, the town of Northborough has been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. All members of the Board of Selectmen Interview Committee are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows the Board of Selectmen Interview Committee to meet entirely remotely so as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative to be sure that you can be heard. Selectman Leslie Rutan.
Present.
Selectman Tim Kalin.
Present.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so we'll begin the interview subcommittee meeting. First, with the acceptance of 2 sets of meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion to accept the meeting minutes of October 13th, 2020?
I make a motion to accept the interview subcommittee meeting minutes from October 13th.
I second that. Is there any discussion?
No discussion.
Okay. All those in favor, roll call vote. Tim?
Aye.
And I, myself. Okay. And also the acceptance of meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion for October 20th, 2020?
I make a motion that the interview subcommittee accept the minutes from the October 20th meeting.
I second that. Is there any discussion at all? Okay. Roll call vote. Tim?
Aye.
And I, myself as well. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so it is 6 p.m. and we can go ahead and bring in our first applicant for this evening's interviews.
Leslie, the first applicant is not yet in the waiting room. I'll let you know.
Okay.
I'll let you know as soon as they are.
That sounds good.
Hey, Leslie, before
Yeah.
the applicant, did I lose video? Can you see me?
Yes, I can't see you. No. There you are.
Perfect. Okay.
Excellent. Di, did you get any information as far as whether this applicant might be late?
I did not. I'm going
Okay.
to check his application right now.
Okay.
I'm working with the applicant right now.
Join from your browser.
Okay, your first applicant is here. Okay to let him in?
Sure,
Thank you.
sounds good. Hi. You're on mute. Hi, Vikram? Still can't hear you though. Is your speaker on? Um, hmm. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Ah,
yeah,
there you are.
perfect.
It says the host muted you, but you can hear me now, so that's good.
Yes. Is it pronounced Vikram?
Vikram,
Vikram. Okay.
Vikram, like R-U-M, like rum.
Okay. From okay.
The British wrote Indian names in English, so they wrote whatever they thought was right, which doesn't exactly transfer into the correct pronunciation.
Okay. That sounds
That's
good.
interesting.
It is interesting, actually.
It is. Hi, Tim. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Unless your
How are
tambour
you
is
doing?
I'm getting by, getting by.
Great.
and this is Tim Kalen, Board of Selectmen also.
Yeah,
So,
everybody's working from home nowadays, so
yes.
it's nice to see people.
Yes,
It is.
Other than people from your work.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, if you could tell us about yourself, and we have your application here, but if you could tell us something about yourself, because people are viewing this meeting and don't have access to your application. So if you could fill us in on some things about yourself and why you have applied for this position.
So this came up and I saw it on the town's website. So I thought, I guess I'm a first generation immigrant. I'm different from the majority in the country. So that brings some diversity. I have a different perspective being here for 17 years, for 19 years in the US and for 17 years in Massachusetts. And coming from a different background, different religion, different ethnicity, fresh immigrant. So it brings some diversity, some understanding of diversity. I come from India, which is a very diverse country anyway. So I thought I will bring some perspective to whatever you are trying to do. So here I am. My background is in I work in the medical device industry in regulatory affairs. So that's regulations. I interpret FDA regulations for companies and connect the companies to the FDA and other country regulators like the European Union, Japan, and other countries as well. So so I have that also which I bring in, uh, being the connecting person between the companies, between medical device industry and regulators from other countries, different languages, different understanding of things. That brings some more diversity, I guess, into the equation. Uh, so so hence my application.
Mhm.
Anything else you want to know, just ask me and I can respond.
Mhm. Um, how do you envision this particular committee working in terms of it starting out and how you would go about trying to figure out what the real perspectives are in our particular community? As far
So I know that there are many people in Northborough town who are from India, which again, within India, there's a lot of diversity, different languages, different cultures. Then there's, I know there are some Brazilians in the town. Apart from that, I don't know what other diverse. There is certainly religious diversity in Northborough. Uh, Apart from that, I don't know how much more diversity is in the town, but I hope to learn more through this position, how much diversity is there and what the perspectives are, what people want to see in how the town functions. In addition, there's all there's certainly some benchmarking that needs to be done with respect to other towns, what the other towns are doing and what challenges they are facing, and what how they are tackling those challenges. So we'll, I guess, start with some benchmarking, talk to other people in other towns what they are doing, and then plan accordingly what we want in our town and what the issues are that need to be addressed.
Mhm, mhm.
That's at least my perspective, looking at it from the outside. You being in the town and having worked with the town for so long, you would know more than I do.
Mhm. Not necessarily. um, what would you what would you envision being accomplished by this committee within the first 8 to 12 months? What would you hope to see accomplished? Let's put it that way.
It depends on the challenges that are there, but I certainly want to, I would say, benchmark with respect to other towns. Um I don't know how much of the census is open to you to be able to see what the diversity is in the town, and then get to know more people, get to um, talk to them, ask them what their issues are, what they want to see in the town, how the town functions, and so on, and get more people involved. Like I for the first time I'm trying to involve myself in the town, how the town works, and get more people involved in all these activities, and contribute that way to the community.
What do you feel would be the most effective way of reaching out in order to find out how others are feeling? You know, you mentioned talking with other people. What do you think would be an effective way of going about that?
We could reach out. I don't know. I don't think we have emails of people. I would say uh, go and talk to them, depending on how many people there are, or send emails if we have their emails, and ask, or just have uh, some meeting or something in the town and advertise it, so people come, and just sit together and talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
These are issues which people need to be comfortable to talk about, and knowing people personally with COVID there, certainly it can be a Zoom meeting, but people need to know that something like this is happening, and then they get to see each other, talk to each other, even if it's virtually, and get comfortable with each other. Do have a meeting, monthly meeting or something, so people get comfortable with talking with each other, seeing each other more, and go from there.
Okay.
These are issues where people need to be comfortable with each other to be able to talk about them.
Yes.
It's not going to happen if people are thinking that the others will be judging them or something like that.
Yes. Yep. Right. That's a good point. So what is your availability? The committee is just now being formed, but there have been no dates set, times, anything like that. What is your general availability, day or night?
Certainly, we are all working, so I'm working as well. But for now, I am working virtually. I don't go into the office. So, so after office times, say after 5 p.m., I'm certainly after 5:30 p.m. I'm available. And during the day or weekends, I am available. And during the day, I don't know if it's a once somewhere one off, maybe I can talk to people for 10-15 minutes, but not
Mhm.
during office time, of course.
Of course, yes. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, the meetings are probably going to be in the evening, so.
Yeah, evening is good. My son is working now, daughter is in college, so I don't have little kids who I have to worry about carrying them around.
Yeah.
It's a
So it's
different
just
setup.
me and my wife and the little dog.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
So yeah, that's why I think it's a good time for me to get involved in town activities and contribute somehow. I have been here for 17 years in this town, so not in this town for 13 years, and yeah, it's high time I got involved.
So your kids went through the school system here in Northborough?
Yes,
Yeah.
the son did his high school from Algonquin. Daughter did high school until 10th grade. From there, then she went to Mass Academy of Math and Science in Worcester, and now she's in college. She's a sophomore in college. Son graduated from UMass Lowell. He's working, lives in Lowell now,
Yeah.
works in Bedford.
Very nice.
So,
That's not
so
too
just
far.
2 kids.
That's great. Well, do you have any questions of us? We might actually need to kind of end this one because we're going to run behind schedule a bit with the next. We've got 5 more people this evening. So do you have any other questions of us?
No, I don't. It's up to you who you want to uh, get as part of the team, and then if I get in, then certainly we will have enough time to talk about it and what we plan to do.
Okay. That sounds wonderful.
So
We will be wrapping this up this evening and then making a motion this evening for our next Board of Selectmen meeting, which is on November 9th.
great. What do you think about me as a candidate?
Well, you certainly sound wonderful. That's a good question. No one's asked us that yet. That's a new one. You caught me off guard. You sound very qualified. We actually, to be honest with you, we've had, let's see, we'll have 18 people total that we're interviewing. And
That's
it's,
good. That's a good participation.
it
I'm
was
glad.
That's great.
It was
Yeah.
surprising, yeah. And to be honest with you, a lot of really wonderful individuals. So, we had wanted to actually get the nomination or the appointments made previously, but there were so many people and we didn't really feel it was appropriate to interview 18 people in 1 week and then try and, put this together that quickly. We wanted to give each person their due time. So
Certainly.
no, you've done a wonderful job and we appreciate it. And we appreciate you applying and we appreciate all your information.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Vikram. Very nice to meet you.
Same here. Bye, Tim.
Very much.
Bye. Have a good one.
Bye. Thanks, Leslie. Thanks, Tim. Bye.
Bye.
The next one is in the waiting room. Do you want me to let her in?
Sure. Tim?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, there you go. Yes, I can hear you now. Hi, Jen.
Okay, good.
Hi, Leslie Rattan, Board of Selectmen.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, Jen. Tim Callan with the Board of Selectmen.
Hi, nice to meet you too.
Nice to meet you. So thank you very much for applying.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we've had a great turnout, which has been awesome. So we've had a chance to talk with a lot of really great people. So the appreciation is very much appreciated. Everybody that's applied.
That's great. I'm so glad the town is doing this.
Yeah, it's exciting. We did get your application. Leslie and I have had a chance to look through it, but people that are watching obviously don't have access to the application. So if you could just talk a little bit about yourself, how long you've been in town, your background, those sorts of things. That would be great.
Yeah, sure. Well, I've lived in Northborough my whole life, so that would be 26 years. I love it here. I know a lot of people my age were happy to get out and move to the cities after college, but I really just love it here. So I still live at home with my parents. Right now I work as a bookkeeper, web designer, and a part-time after-school STEM teacher, which is something that I really love to do. And so I think I really love what this commission is doing, and I think I could bring a unique perspective as somebody who's lived here for my whole life and as a member of the LGBTQ community. I think that's a unique perspective that is needed on a board like this. So that is me in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's great. 26 years, your whole life, huh?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I really love this town.
Yeah, it's funny. I grew up in town and then moved away, went to college, did what you just talked about, then came home.
Yeah. There's something
Yeah, so-
special about Northborough. I don't know what it is, but it makes people want to come back.
Yeah, it certainly does. What about this committee made you want to apply?
Well, I think with everything happening in the world right now, this is something that is sorely needed. I think a lot of people feel like their voices are not being heard, and this is a great opportunity for the town to listen to those people and to hear what they need and what we can do to support them. So I just want to make this town a little bit better for the next generation, and I think this is a great way to start.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you were to, in that same context, if you were to get on the committee, is there specific things that you would like to see the committee accomplish in the first 6 or 12 months?
Sure. Well, I think the first task would be to at least survey the town and get a baseline for what we need to do, because like I said, I think listening to the residents is the first step to find out what is missing and where we can improve. I think what was outlined in the description for the committee is where we need to direct our resources. So that would be racial equality, making sure people with disabilities are getting what they need. Like I said, coming from the LGBTQ community, seeing what resources they need, especially our youth and our elders, gender equality, just making sure that everybody feels like they're heard and represented.
Yeah, it's a it's a tall task.
It sure is. But I think the way that the committee is set up, taking one representative from certain other committees like the school board, I think that's really great because you're getting perspectives already from different parts of town.
Yeah, the different perspectives are the most important aspect of the committee.
Yeah.
It is a new committee, so we don't have a history to rely on to guide us going forward. So it's going to be up to the committee to kind of lay the groundwork for what we're going to do. It's almost like starting a business. You need somebody that's flexible and has a bit of entrepreneurial flair to them. Is that an environment or a committee that you'd be comfortable working on? And do you think you could contribute to that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with my working schedule, I make my own hours for 2 out of my 3 jobs, which is great. And obviously teaching right now, not really happening, unfortunately, but even so, when that starts back up again, I will have the time to dedicate to this. And yeah, I look forward to meeting and working with new people with all different backgrounds.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. When we think about, you mentioned surveys, and getting an understanding of the makeup of our community.
Mhm.
Part of the charge of this committee is outreach within the community. What do you think are some good ways for the committee to reach out and get feedback from the community?
I think the utilization of social media is key, especially nowadays, because that's where a lot of people get their information. And there are a lot of great town groups that I think this committee could utilize to get feedback from people. I know the town has websites for its committees on the town homepage. So I think compiling a list of resources and possibly surveys on that page would also be great for people to access. But then for people who don't have access to technology, maybe our older population, we could set something up at the senior center to gauge interest. Those are just a few ideas that I have.
Yeah, that's a good idea about the senior center.
Yeah, we want everybody to be included.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Did you have any questions for us? Is there anything that we can answer for you?
Sure. Well, one of the other ideas I had was possibly getting in touch with other local diversity and inclusion committees. Like I know Shrewsbury and I think Westborough is doing it as well. So was that part of your plan to maybe help make this transition a little easier for the surrounding area, making sure that the towns are working together to compile resources?
I have thought of that, and I think I know that they're both starting. We're all 3 communities are starting from the same place.
Yeah.
So I think it really depends on. I'm not opposed to it by any stretch of the imagination. It's just a matter of once we get together as a committee, deciding the things that we want to accomplish, and it's just going to be a matter of time if we have the time to reach out to those other communities.
Okay.
If you had an I hope list put together as far as what you envision accomplishing, let's say within the first 8 to 12 months, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you just say, I hope that?
I hope that the community can come together. I think we're living in a time where people are more divided than ever. And I think if we are able to possibly educate the community on all these different perspectives and races and cultures and backgrounds, I think that would be a great way for everybody to see more eye to eye and maybe be a little kinder to each other. That would be my main goal.
Sounds good.
Thank you. I agree.
Very reasonable. But okay, so is there anything else you have any questions about? Anything you're unsure about? I don't want you to walk away from the interview and say, "Oh, gee, they didn't answer X."
Well, I guess what is the goal of the Board of Selectmen with the committee, other than what's been laid out? Are there any particular goals that they're hoping to accomplish?
Tim, do you want to answer
that? No. And the reason why I say no is it's really up to the committee to determine that.
Yeah, it's brand new, like you said.
Right. Like, as the representative from the Board of Selectmen, myself, it's not my job to come in and say, these are the things, this is my vision, these are the things that we're going to accomplish. I think it's much more important to get the committee together, like you were talking about, with the different perspectives, and have everybody involved in really making a diverse and community-based decision on what we want to accomplish.
Well, that sounds good.
It's actually a nice advantage in some ways. We have so many committees that have been around forever. And it's always very clear what the goals are. You know, you join the committee and you know pretty much what they do, and it's the same thing, you know, year in, year out. But this is exciting because I think it will be up to the group to decide what they feel is important and whether it can be accomplished and by when. And I think that's a great thing with perspective, because probably everybody's going to come in with their own idea of what they see happening and what they think they're going to be doing on it. So that'll be an interesting discussion.
Yeah, I think the most interesting thing would be to see what everybody else wants to see accomplished, and hopefully everybody can come together and achieve all those goals.
Exactly. Exactly. So I think we'll probably wrap this up. We have 4 more interviews this evening, and then we have interviewed already 12 people. So at the end of at the end of our interviews this evening, one of us will make a motion with people that they would like to recommend for this, and then at our next Board of Selectmen meeting on November 9th, the board will vote on that motion.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you for the information.
Thank you very much for applying.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're
It
welcome.
was nice meeting you.
Yeah, you too. I hope you guys have a nice night and good luck with the other interviews.
Thank you
very much.
Bye, Jen.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, your next applicant is in the waiting room. You ready?
Yes.
Yes. You're just on mute, Jocelyn. Oh, great.
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Hi, Jocelyn. Can you hear us?
Very good.
You can hear us?
Yes, I can.
Oh, good. Okay.
Oh, good.
Excellent. I'm Leslie Rattan, Board of Selectmen.
Hi, Jocelyn. Tim Kalin with the
Hi.
Board of Selectmen.
Hi.
Nice to see you. Thank you very much for applying. We appreciate you taking the interview.
Oh, well, thanks for speaking with me.
Sure. If you could tell us about yourself. The public does not have the benefit of seeing your application like Tim and I do right now. We can leaf through these papers here, but the town doesn't have anyone watching doesn't have that same advantage. So if you could tell us about yourself and explain why you have applied for this committee.
Okay, well, I've lived in Northborough for 20 years now, and my children attended school here, part of their growing up. And I have been fortunate to work at the Northborough Senior Center for the since 2008, I believe. It's been an opportunity to work with a wonderful and supportive community and to provide services and a broad range of services. My background in social work, so that really contributes to my interest in this committee. As far as social work goes, the work you do is really tied into understanding the individual or the group you're dealing with. You can't expect to achieve very much without developing an understanding of people. So I thought this committee was very timely, and I appreciated the fact that other communities, there weren't that many other communities in the area that had delved into this area. So I just thought it would be a real asset to the community.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So how do you envision this particular committee working and being able to gain perspective from residents as far as how they feel about this issue of diversity and inclusion?
I think there's an awful lot that can be done with something like this. I think first and foremost, from my point of view, it's about education. And whether that comes from hearing from the community or bringing in people who have this area of expertise, I think all those things can be done. But I think that it's, this is an issue, obviously, not just our community, but the country is grappling with. And I think having a structured, I don't know if we want to call it formal, but a structured format for providing education, providing some understanding, it's a process to where we can hopefully get to acceptance and valuing differences in people. And I think, having that structured opportunity really makes a difference. We've kind of skipped over that for years and years, but there's some, whether we're dealing with, no matter what kinds of differences we're dealing with, I think people need an opportunity to express them, and somebody needs an opportunity to hear them. So I like the idea that this would provide at least that format and, a starting place.
What would you like to see accomplished, let's say, within the first 8 to 12 months? Is there something that you hope could be achieved in that time?
I think one thing that would be important is to hear from members of the community, some public forums, just getting kind of a feel for what the community prioritizes, perhaps looking also at what structure the town government has developed to address these issues, and to help staff perhaps to help them acquire some training. We've done that kind of thing at the senior center, and it's proven really valuable. It really, the education piece is just, it can be so extensive. And so those are the kinds of things that I would like to see.
What do you think would be the best way to do outreach? What would be your preferred method, really trying to gain a perspective of Northborough residents?
I know outreach is now we've got these challenges right now too, with COVID. We at the senior center, we do a variety of things. When we had a dementia friendly initiative, and at that time we had a community forum that with speakers and invited anybody in the community to come in and then participate in providing feedback or being part of a task force. And I think that's something that would probably best work if it were offered more than once. Seem to get the attention. And I think it's hard in a town where you don't have a local newspaper or form of media. So maybe offering something like that on a repeated basis, and inviting participation that way.
Also, again, the meeting dates and times and all that kind of thing have not been set at all yet. What is your availability? Probably in evenings. We're probably assuming will be the time that meetings would take place.
Well, so Tuesday nights we work till 7. That would be at town offices. So that would be the only real impediment.
Okay. And do you have any questions for us as far as what you're envisioning, what you were hoping to hear during this interview?
Well, I was kind of I just think it's really interesting. I was wondering how this came about, what kind of led to this development of the committee. Was there some catalyst or something like that, or just a protracted discussion about things like this needing to be done?
I think this was, if I recall, was born out of when the Black Lives Matter movement got going in, was that April? When was that, Tim? Do you remember when that was? I want to
April, May.
April, May, and there was a gathering at the town common. And I think some people were wonderful in wanting to speak up about some things. And I think shortly after that, Tim, is that when you put the proposal together?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So that's sort of the evolution of it, which is great. And it's obviously very timely, and we're not the only community doing it. I think it's one of these issues that everybody realizes we really need to put our hats on with this one and sit down and do something about it. So I think it's terrific. Tim put together a great proposal for it, and it was accepted by our board. And then we had to figure out, the kind of how we're going to have the makeup of the committee. So that's basically how it evolved. So
that's wonderful. Yeah,
it's nice. It's brand new, so it's exciting because it can, it can take on its own personality. Unlike all the other committees we have that have been around for 159 years, and we're doing the same every week, every month. So it's nice. And everybody on the committee can decide how they want the committee to function. So unless you have any other questions for us, we have 3 more interviews this evening, and then we will be making a motion at the end of tonight. We've had 18 total applicants, and then we'll make
that's wonderful.
It is, yeah. And so our board will then vote on that motion at our next meeting on November 9th.
Great. Okay. Well, I so appreciate you speaking with me, and I'm just really excited about this committee in Northborough. I think it's really going to be an asset for all parts of the community.
I think so too. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jocelyn. It was nice meeting you.
Thanks. Good to meet you too. Bye-bye.
Thanks for your time. Take care.
Good night. Your next applicant is in the waiting room. Are you ready?
Just 1 second.
Sure, just let me know when you're ready.
Okay.
Did you say you were ready yet?
We hadn't, but Tim, are you ready, or do you want?
I'm ready.
Okay, sure, that'd be great.
I was talking to the fire chief, and I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. All right, I'll bring her in.
Hi, you're on mute.
Hello.
Hi, Annalise.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Leslie Rattan, Board of Selectmen.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Annalise. I'm Tim Kalin from the Board of Selectmen.
Nice to meet you both.
Nice to meet you. Thank you very much for applying.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah, it's always great when people from the community get involved, and it's always nice to see, we got what do we get? 18 applications, Leslie?
Oh, good.
Yeah, so it's been nice to see the community respond in a positive way.
Okay.
We did, Leslie and I did have a chance to go over your application. We got the paper version here. Obviously the public can't see it, people that are watching. So if you just want to talk about yourself a little bit, your background, and why you'd like to get involved with this committee, that would be great.
So I'm a veterinarian. I work in Sutton, just a little ways from here. I worked in Hudson previous to that for about 17 years. Been living in Northborough for about 20 years. I've had 2 children in the Northborough school system. One is now supposed to be at college, but he's at home. And the other one is actually going to high school at Bancroft in Worcester. And I guess, that's probably my main focus is to make things a little smoother for children that are like my children. My eldest felt a little lonely and a little, I wouldn't say lonely, but I would say he felt like he was one of one. And so and there were some problems with how people treated him at the school. And I guess that's primarily my thing that I'd like to address. And for other kids at the high school to be able to see a person like me and see that I'm a doctor, I'm successful, and I can be involved in town government. Currently, I'm also on a diversity committee for a large veterinary group that's wet-based. Again, it's like I get to chime in when there's questions about diversity and inclusivity. So I'm kind of already doing a little bit of that role. I really don't know what you guys want to do with this committee. So I'm kind of interested to hear what you have to say, but that can come with time.
Yeah, I think with the most important thing with people that are chosen for the committee is that the committee has as many different perspectives as we can get. We have five slots for residents and then 4 slots that are being filled from other committees in town, school committee being one of them, to make sure that concerns that you just expressed are heard by somebody that can bring that to the full school committee. So that's really the most important thing. Then once we have the committee picked, then sitting down as a committee and determining how we want to move forward. So that everybody can be involved in making those types of decisions.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yes.
Good.
So.
Yeah, I mean it's one of the interesting parts about this committee is that it is a new committee, so you don't have a historical reference to go back on. So we've got to lay our own foundation and move forward. So that's part of the exciting part with it.
Okay.
So when you think about the committee, and if you were to be on it, is there anything specific that you can think of that you would like to see the committee accomplish in the first 8 or 12 months?
That's a good question. I don't know. I suppose there could be some more inclusivity training, but in different government, like the school, the town. I have no idea though. But that's probably where I would start, is how to address people properly and how to try and include everybody, whether they're whatever color they are, whether they're male or female or other. And I'm just kind of, and I think I'd like to learn more about that as well, because I'm kind of older and I'm a little floundery on some of the stuff. But
yeah. Yeah.
And I also am aware that as a category, let's put it, there's not a lot of African Americans in town. And so I'm also, like if you feel that a spot needs to be given to a group that also has a problem with inclusivity, but has more members, that's okay as well. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Because I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
that there's like a larger Asian population and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, the goal is to get as many different perspectives as we can get. So to make sure that as many people are represented as possible.
Yes.
So that's why it's great that we got 18 applications. So,
Yeah.
So right now, since it is a new committee, we don't have a day set up for when the meetings are going to be held.
Okay.
They're most likely going to be in the evenings. I just don't know which day yet. Do you have any concerns about time
No.
availability or? No. Okay.
I'm very free at this point. I work in the morning, so evenings are fine.
Oh, good. Okay.
I am on the Northborough Democratic Committee, and so I think they meet on Mondays, but it's once a month.
That's true, yeah.
Okay.
If
Leslie,
you-
did you have any questions?
Yeah, if you had to think about gaining as much perspective as possible from the residents in town, what would be an idea for getting input from people? How do you feel we could effectively get perspectives from people on how they're feeling about diversity and inclusion in town? Especially in the era of Zoom right now, which we could be in for a while.
Right. That's a good question. I don't know, besides like maybe using Facebook and seeing if you can have a meeting about it, then maybe hitting up the teenagers, because they like to talk about this, I know. So it may be that you could hit up the clubs in the schools and see if they were a way that they wanted to approach us and talk about how they feel about how things are going. I guess there's also all the other different types of clubs in town, like garden club or talking to people on the trail club, or I have no idea, but that's probably what I would start is by either sending. I get a lot of stuff through the town rec emails, so I suppose you could do something like that through there.
Yes.
But yeah, it's and I'm sure it's going to be hard to get people to talk about it, especially with how inflamed things are right now. So it might be that you might have to wait a little while until things calm down one way or the other after next week.
Yeah. I think next week is going to go a long way to determine a lot of things. So
yeah.
So do you have any other questions of us?
No.
I think of.
No, I'm just happy to volunteer, and I'm here if you need me.
That's great. Well, we appreciate you applying. We have a couple more interviews this evening, and then at the end of this evening, we will be putting together a motion for some candidates that we will vote on at our next Board of Selectmen meeting on November 9th.
Okay. Thank you very much.
We appreciate
thank you very much. It was nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you too.
Nice meeting you. Thank you. Take care, Annalise.
Thanks.
Are you ready for the next applicant?
Yes. Sure. That sounds great, Tim, or do you need more?
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay.
All right, I'll let him in.
Okay, thanks.
You guys hear me?
Hi, Hamilton.
Hi, Hamilton.
Hi, I'm Leslie Rutan, Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
Hi, Hamilton. I'm Tim Kalin with the Board of Selectmen.
Nice to meet you. Thank you very much for applying and for taking the time to interview. Sorry, we're running a little bit behind schedule tonight.
No worries. I just thought for a second I had clicked on the wrong meeting link and I was like, oh God. So I called Diane. I was like, am I being let in? Because the date was actually on the waiting room actually said the 13th. So I was like, maybe I'm in the wrong link here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No worries. We're here now and ready to start.
We're here. It's nice to meet you.
Meet you
So
as
you
well.
could tell us a little bit about yourself. The public who's watching or who may watch replays of this does not have the benefit of seeing your application. So if you could tell us some things about yourself and why you have applied for this position.
Yeah, I'm originally from Eastern Mass, moved out to Northborough about 4 years ago in 2017. Fell in love with the community, got involved with the library trustees, and really like to move forward and adding value to the community. Reason why I applied for the Diversity and Inclusion Committee was, I'm from a minority group. I feel sometimes my minority group does get left behind in some senses. So I did want to at least bring part of that towards the Diversity and Inclusion Committee and then learn from others as well and work as a cohesive unit. But everywhere I've been, I've always looked to really find a place where I can add value, not just be a member of the town and not really add my own value back to the community. So I like to get involved that way. And my background's extensively focused on finances. I was a financial advisor before. I'm in banking now, and I may be moving back into the financial advisor role quite soon here. So definitely the numbers things really gets me, and that's what excites me about any type of value I add back to the community. And then with Diversity and Inclusion Committee, I can bring in that culture aspect of it.
Tell us what your thoughts are about this particular committee and what you feel it could or should be accomplishing within the first 8 to 12 months.
I think it's involving everyone, not just getting the aspects of people who are just on the committee. It's really being out there. And I know with the COVID restrictions, that may be a little hard, but I still find ways to meet people, whether it be via Zoom or getting coffees and being socially distant outside. But definitely getting more people involved and not just sticking to what we think is best and getting input from other outside sources as well. First 8 to 12 months, I'd like to start creating initiatives that do really bring the community together in a sense of whether that be with diversity in minority groups or diversity just with everyone in the community. It's something that I thought that as soon as it came up, I was like, I'm definitely one of the right people to be a part of it. That way I can use my strengths to further build the community as well.
In this age of Zoom, how do you think, what do you think would be an effective way of getting either people together or getting input from people so that there's some sort of foundation in terms of what people's perspectives are in town about diversity and inclusion?
Definitely at least reaching out to people through social media. One, the Northborough community group on Facebook has been quite informative for me. And I even found out about the Diversity and Inclusion Committee through them as well. And I am heavily involved on LinkedIn. I've met a lot of people from the community on the professional side. So definitely can build relationships there to get it on Zoom because the COVID restrictions, you can't really just call someone and say, meet me out for coffee, let's get together. At least with social media, it does give you that distance, but also the clarity of knowing who you're dealing with before you get on the Zoom with them.
What would be your greatest hopes for what kind of a baseline of what could be accomplished? Since it's a new committee and Tim will be on that committee, and I don't think he plans on coming in and just saying, okay, this is the way it's going to be, and this is what we're going to be doing, and this is the outline here.
Right, and I do understand that's a new committee, and it's something that we're going to have to work and figure out how we're going to navigate it. But when I first heard of it, it was the first time where I felt hope in a community that I've lived in and said, wow, they're really looking to get other people involved. They've even created a committee to really act on what they're saying. So it was definitely something that, even if we're just muddling around and trying to figure our way through it, I want to be a part of that. I know it's not structured so much because it's new, right? So it was the first time I did feel hope within a community I lived in.
So tell us a little bit about what you do. This is a library board of trustees that you're on.
Yep.
Okay, well, tell me what you do on that committee, because I know they have some subgroups too. I don't know if you do some of the sub work on that or.
So I'm also the treasurer, do a lot of the financing piece of it, getting together with the finance director of the town of Northborough and the library accountant, or the person who goes over the finances, and really consolidating the spreadsheets between them two and then presenting it to the board. I'm also on the development committee for the library. We haven't met in a bit only because of the COVID restrictions, and we lost one of our chairs for the development committee. So she really navigated that piece. So I'm really trying to take over on that end. But a lot of it is figuring out, I mean, one of the things we worked on for quite a bit of time was getting the extra hours on Thursdays for the library to reopen from 5 to 7. And that took us quite a bit of time. And then we also did the Jubilee event for the 150th anniversary of the library.
That was a big deal. Yep.
Yeah, it was quite a bit. It was nice. It was extensive. There was a good deal of giveaways. I really liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's nice. That's a good committee to be on. Do you have any other questions of us? Is there anything you can think of that, so that you don't walk out after the interview and say, gee, they didn't answer this for me? Is there something that comes to mind?
I have some questions that I did have written down. I guess most of it is because it's so new. Do we have structure? What are the expectations from, I guess, everyone involved for the committee? What are people looking at right now? I've watched the Board of Selectmen meetings, and they've gone quite extensive, and I don't know where the place is for the diversity committee piece. So sometimes I miss it, and I may have missed that piece of it if you guys have already spoken about it.
Maybe, Tim, do you want to answer that as far as the committee structure and so forth, or lack thereof?
Well, I think it's once we get the residents or the committee formed, once we get the people on the committee, I think at our first meeting, that's really where, as a committee, we'll put together the structure of the committee and discuss some of the initiatives that we want to take as a committee. Because ultimately, the charge of the committee is, after 12 months, to present recommendations to the Board of Selectmen. And what those recommendations are up to the committee. So like Leslie was saying before, it's one thing for the Board of Selectmen to come into the meeting and say, these are the things that we're going to do, versus, because that's just not right, because that's just coming from one perspective. So I think it's much more effective if we take everybody's perspective, really try to hone in on what the perspectives of the entire community are, and then move forward with those.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, definitely. And as for the committee, how many people are we looking to get on the committee?
There will be 9 people on the committee. So there'll be 5 residents, and then 1 representative from the Board of Selectmen, 1 from the Council on Aging, 1 from the school committee, and 1 from Town Hall.
Okay. Now that you've broken it down, I think I do remember that piece.
Yeah. Yeah. So it will be a good group.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. I mean, that's it for questions for me. I know it's so new that I didn't want to inundate with too many questions, and kind of hopefully get started sometime soon if you decide to move forward with me.
But to what you said earlier about kind of just muddling to try to get through it, like, I can see that being a portion of the first meeting or two, is just trying to get our feet underneath of us. And well, that's part of the exciting part of it too, is that you do get to muddle through it and have some good conversations and come up with a plan that's the best for the community.
I agree.
Exactly. So unless you have anything else for us,
Can I just, did you, do you have any concerns about time
oh,
availability?
that's right. I meant to ask that.
The meetings are going to be, I don't know which day yet, but they'll be in the evenings during the week. So I just want to check with people that they don't have any other commitments, or if they do have other commitments, just what they are, if they're, if they're available.
Right. I think my one commitment right now would be the library trustees on Tuesdays. And that's the second Tuesday of every month. So it's not too many. And that's about it. Yeah. Because usually I'm in the banking world. So we have banker's hours. We get right out at 5 and that's it. The only time after that, I'm good to go, even if it has to be where I get on the Zooms or right at work.
Okay. All right, great.
That's great to know. Well, okay, so we have one more interview to go, and then after that, we will be putting together a motion for our recommendations to the Board of Selectmen, and then we'll vote on that at our next Board of Selectmen meeting on November 9th.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Thanks for applying, and thanks for.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a nice night.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye-bye. Oh boy, just one more.
Are you ready for the next applicant?
Yes, I am. Tim?
Yes, I am.
All right, I'll go ahead and let her in. Hello.
Hey, Kaylin?
Yes,
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Leslie Rattan, Board of Selectmen.
nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Tim Kalin with the Board of Selectmen.
Nice to put a face to an email.
Nice to see you.
So thank you.
Oh, go ahead, Leslie. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Tim.
I was probably just going to say the same thing you were just going to say.
Yes. This is our 18th time saying it, so. Got to be a lot, yeah.
Thank you very much for applying. First of all,
Sure.
it's we've gotten 18 applications for this committee, so the response for the response has been great, and everybody's been really wonderful. So it's nice when people take time out to apply. So thank you very much for that. It is much appreciated. Leslie and I do have the benefit of being able to look at your application, but if people were to watch or watch a recording of this later, they obviously can't see your application. So if you just want to, if you could talk about yourself and your background, just to give people an idea of
Sure.
about you, that would be great.
So I'm actually a veterinarian by trade. But after I finished veterinary school, I worked in private practice as a normal vet for a while, but then I went to the university and got more training. And so I moved to California, took a grad degree on and some additional training, and then ended up coming back across the country where I worked at Tufts for 9 years at the veterinary school as a faculty member. So I have been on my own freelance for the past year. And so my specialty is actually veterinary nutrition and education. And so basically what I do for the most part is I work for an organization that sends me as a visiting professor to veterinary schools all over the country, including in the Caribbean. And so everywhere from Alabama to St. Kitts to Washington State. So it's a little untraditional, non-traditional, I guess, for a veterinarian. But along the way, with all of the travel I've done, living on both coasts and in many large cities, social justice and equality and civil rights have been things that I've always been very interested in, and that I've tried to get involved in small ways around the different places where I've been and where I've traveled. And so certainly with the events of the past year, it started to feel to me that kind of doing my own little exploration of them and talking, often preaching to the choir for people that I knew that were already kind of on board with a lot of it, was maybe not the best use of those interests. And so I got brave and decided to reach out and offer myself as part of a committee to actually try to make a difference in our community here, and kind of take the next step versus the easier things of reading and educating yourself and and talking to individual people.
Yeah, doing all that traveling, and especially getting involved with teaching people, you must have some pretty interesting experiences.
I really have. And one of the things that's really struck me, particularly since I've been teaching in the Caribbean, is the veterinary medicine in general is not a very diverse profession. And so it's mostly women, it's mostly white women. And so that has been really enlightening to now have students that that were not represented in school when I went to school, and now be realizing how much of what we teach and all of the people that we look up to that are the top of the profession, they're all white men, and and the effect that has on students. And I was chatting with some students who were putting together some e-learning programs for one of our schools, or for all of our schools, but I was chatting with students at one of our schools, and we were talking about the fact that even just finding stock photos of veterinarians that are diverse, it is very, very difficult, and and how that affects children that are growing up. And so even within my own little microcosm of of my profession, we realize how many issues there are, and it's just become that much more clear now that I have exposure to students that come from much more diverse backgrounds than I ever did teaching at just Tufts or at some of the other universities I've been to. And it's really helped to open my eyes now that I was really ready to see it, and to start thinking about how that kind of stuff affects it, not just in my profession, but in the whole wide world. If all the teachers you have look like you, and the students in your class look like you, and everybody on TV looks like you, like that's that can make it really hard to see that things could be different, or to have good role models or any of that. And so I think those are things that seem small, but because we don't realize it as the majority. But now when I talk to more and more people that grew up differently than I did and have different experiences, it's become painfully obvious, and I feel like I have to do something to help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's amazing when your eyes are open to it. The complexities of it really become like screamingly evident. It's really quite amazing. The committee that we're putting together is a new committee. But if you were to get on the committee, is there anything specific that you would like to see the committee accomplish in the first 8 or 12 months?
That's a good question. I think it would be really nice to kind of have a bit of I would think we would start with some audit of kind of where we are, in Northborough, and, particularly in all of our different services and our schools, and kind of, start out making sure that everybody on the committee was all in understanding about kind of where we are, and what our town, what is the makeup of our town, and where we go from there. And then education would be an obvious place where we could potentially make a difference. I think with all of the attention to policing, I'm not saying that, that Northborough has problems, but I think that there's always room to have that discussion of how to prevent issues and how do we make sure that everyone is treated equally. And so those seem to be some easy places to start, knowing that nothing happens quickly. And no matter how dedicated people are, institutions take a long time, but we can start to come up with smaller things that we can do with the goal of making our community more inclusive, with then, starting to plan what are the big picture things that, ideally that we would like to see and how do we get there?
Yeah. Yeah. Just a question about availability.
Mhm.
We don't know which day of the week the meetings will be. They'll probably be in the evening. Is that going to be a challenge for you in any way?
Well, in my old life, pre-COVID, I traveled quite a bit, as you can imagine, based on the description I gave you. However, I don't know. I don't know what life will be like when we finally get back to normal. I suspect that a lot of my teaching will remain online. So for the time being, I have very few restrictions because the majority of what I'm doing is during normal weekday hours, and it is all online. So for the next 6 months, I don't anticipate much changes, again, until we figure out what our new normal is. And, at that point, I think like many others, we'll be kind of reassessing and trying to figure out where, what ends up happening with our jobs that have been work at home. Are they going to stay work at home, or, that kind of stuff? But yeah, I would say through the spring, I don't anticipate that I would be a problem in terms of availability.
Okay. All right. Do you have any questions for us? Is there anything that we can answer for you?
I guess I'd be interested in seeing, you guys put out that you wanted to start the committee. What do you see as the goals of the committee? In an ideal world, who would you want to see on the committee in broader strokes, and what would you want to see the committee accomplish?
Well, I think the ultimate charge for the committee is to present recommendations to the Board of Selectmen on how the town can improve diversity and inclusion. And I left it that general on purpose, because it's easy for the Board of Selectmen to say, these are the things that the committee is going to accomplish. Mm-hmm. But that only comes from our perspective. And that's not necessarily, and it shouldn't be the only perspective. And I think it's important to get the people that we select to be on the committee, so that we have the 9 people in a room, and then the 9 of us can have conversations about what each individual thinks is important based on their experiences in town and in their lives, and incorporate those into the things that we want to take on as a committee. And I think the most important thing about the committee is that we appoint people so that we have different perspectives. Absolutely. And that those perspectives represent as many people as possible in the community, so that everybody feels they have some connection to the committee. Yeah. So I think, those are the goals.
And I would argue that as a white woman, I would hope that there would be people with different life experiences than me on the committee. I really want to be involved, but I think that is something that is really important to have as much diversity as possible. And I appreciate that I would not necessarily be one of the most diverse candidates, and so.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that. I think that's we've heard that from quite a few people that have applied. So it shows, it's almost like the 2 kids fighting over a bike. All right, I'll cut the bike in half. I think it was a Seinfeld episode.
Yeah, I remember that.
We definitely need, I think, like I said, the more diverse the committee is, the better. So that will serve us all, ideally.
Yes.
So, but I'm
Yeah.
happy to serve if called upon.
Perfect. Leslie, did you have any questions?
No, well, maybe just one. I think it's going to be kind of interesting, especially in this Zoom era that we're in, to be able to get enough information from people to get their input about what they feel the issues are in town. What do you think would be an efficient way of going about that?
I wonder if it might be valuable to do a survey, maybe even something anonymous. That way, because I agree, it's hard, because I see this with my students, that the groups who knew each other well prior to moving online have a lot more interaction and discussion and feel less self-conscious than those who are starting out their first semester and suddenly there's 100 people they don't know. Obviously, this group is much smaller, but it may well be people in the community that don't know each other. And because of the topics, it could be things that, it's likely to come up with things that make some people uncomfortable. And I would think that everyone volunteering for this kind of a group is ready to be put in that situation and have awkward conversations if need be. But that would be a consideration as a way to make sure that people are really saying what they feel, and to having some anonymous way that that comments or something can be collected, and then they can be discussed in the group in a way that would, at least in the beginning, until the group really kind of gets a feel for each other, that would be a little maybe less intimidating.
Good point. Very good point. Yeah. No, that's all I had. I think that we will probably wrap up. Well, you're our last applicant. Following this, we will be, Tim and I'll probably just be taking a couple of minutes and looking at all of our notes. Our heads have been down a little bit, writing all these things down that people have told us. And then we're going to put together a motion to recommend only 5, unfortunately, of the 18 people that we've interviewed. And then that will go to our Board of Selectmen meeting on November 9th, and the board will accept that motion, hopefully. So.
All right. So would we find out on November 9th after it's selected, or will we find out if we were going to if it was going to be put before the Selectmen board?
Well, actually, this meeting is all in open session right now. So technically you could just tune in to this meeting and we'll be, putting together the motion at the end of this before we.
Got it. So it is going to be a quick decision-making process.
Probably, but
we'll see what happens.
No worries.
Yeah.
However it takes, but that's awesome that we had that much interest in the community, because I think that speaks volumes, and it's nice to have choices. I think the worst case scenario would be that you were kind of pulling teeth to get people, to join up, because that would not bode well for the enthusiasm and the motivation of the group.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is like that. So this is why this has been such a pleasure. We had actually hoped to appoint a group previously, but we had so many applications, we didn't want to give anyone a short shrift or do quick interview, that kind of thing. So
Right.
This has been nice, actually.
Great. Well, that's great.
So thank you very much for applying. Thank you for your interest and your time in interviewing with us.
Sure. All right.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was nice meeting you.
Nice
Take
to meet
care.
you, Carolyn. Take care. Thank you.
Okay, so that's it for the interviews. If you guys you're comfortable with deliberating and I'll be in the background, just holler if you need me.
Okay. I guess, is that okay, Tim, with you if I go ahead? I'm going to read the list of all the applicants.
Yes.
Okay. One thing I would like to do right now is go down the list of all 18 people. We had a couple of people who did withdraw their applications, so I won't read their names. But we had 18 people who we interviewed over the last 3 weeks. And again, we had hoped to do this, all in one night or 1 week, but it just seemed a little bit much. We had a lot of interest in this committee. And so we wanted to take our time with it before we present the motion to and vote on it at a Board of Selectmen meeting on November 9th. But I would like to thank the following people for applying and taking the time to interview with us. To be honest, everyone was phenomenal. I am just blown away by all the credentials of people and their interest and all the things they have done in their lives and what they hope that this committee will accomplish. It's been really, really terrific. So I would like to read their names and thank them. Jean Cahill, Valeria Schmidt, George Brankel, Mary Leach, Miriam Ibrahim, Michaela Annunziata, Wanisa Tran, Lashika Holland, Sherry Clark, Deidre Writing, Dave Lorenzi, Cormac McManus, Vikram Verma, Jennifer Graham, Jocelyn Earhart, Annalise Hora, and Hamilton Soriano, and Kaylin Hines, who we just finished up with. So again, 18 people. We want to thank them very, very much for their interest in this very exciting new committee that the Board of Selectmen is going to be undertaking. And I want to thank Tim for his work in putting together the statement that brought this all about. So really nice work. And this is a very important thing to have happening right now. So the next thing, let's see. The next thing would be really for us to put together a motion and approve it between Tim and I, that would be then presented at the next Board of Selectmen meeting. Recognizing that really each one of these people would be an asset for one reason or another. Everyone has something to offer. And one final note I'd like to make about that is that I hope that anyone that we don't select will please go onto the town website and look to see what other openings there are on other town committees and commissions, because we really need good people. And there is a lot of really good work being done in town. It's all being done via Zoom right now, which makes it easier in some sense. But I hate to lose good candidates, so I really can't encourage you enough to please consider some other things going on in town. So.
Yeah, can I just add a couple of things, Leslie?
Absolutely, yeah.
I am really excited that we got so many applications. I can't say how, or put into words just how meaningful it is for the community that we did get 18 applications. It was and everybody was wonderful. Everybody was just truly great. Everybody was applying with the truest of intentions, and everybody that we talked to, you could tell was really engaged in wanted to see the town of Northborough get better and be better. So it was very nice to see, and then to echo what Leslie was saying, the town always needs great people to get involved, to really help, our community be better. And if you're interested in a new committee, we're putting together the Master Plan Implementation Committee. That's going to be a new committee. So if the idea of serving on something that is new and, there's a direct correlation between today and the future with the committee, that's another good option for people if you want to be involved with making the community better. That's all I wanted to add. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay. Do you need more time to look at notes, Tim, or what's your? Again, everyone, this is all being done in open session, so that's why we'll have little lapses like this, because we do have a lot of notes and things to look through.
Well, I think.
Are you ready to? Do you want to take a stab at a motion, or?
I think that's probably the best way to do it.
Okay.
Seems that we have 18 applications. I mean, it's. Usually we have one or two, so it's a little bit different. So yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Did you have one?
Not quite yet. I didn't know if you did, or we can always.
Just give me 1 second. Is there anybody, well, I guess the best way to do it is just to put forth and go from there. You agree with that, Leslie?
I think so. I mean, that's the only way to really get it going, and then we can always discuss if you.
All right. So I think following the discussion of what each applicant would bring to the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, it was apparent that the background and experience of the following applicants would be an asset to the committee. Lashika Holland, Deidre Writing, Miriam Ibrahimi, Hamilton Soriano, and Mary Leach.
Okay. Do you want to make a motion to let the subcommittee vote to recommend?
Do you agree with those?
I do. I do, actually. I it's hard, again, because all these people are so super qualified and everybody would offer a perspective that is needed. But I think that based on the interviews that we had and the notes that I wrote down and what I think these particular, let's see, you said Lashika, Deidre, Mary Leach, Miriam Ibrahim, Hamilton Soriano. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay, I agree. I do agree with that. I think that they'd be super.
Okay. So I move the subcommittee vote to recommend Lashika Holland, Deidre Writing, Miriam Ibrahimi, Hamilton Soriano, and Mary Leach for appointment to the Diversity and Inclusion Committee at the November 9th, 2020 Selectmen's meeting for staggered terms.
Staggered terms, right? Okay, I second that motion.
Any further discussion?
None from me, except thank you very much to everybody. And I hope, I'm sure maybe some people will be disappointed, but I just beg of you to please, there's so many other things. Please get involved. We need you. So I wish the committee could be larger, but then it becomes unwieldy after, if the committee becomes too large, you actually can sometimes not accomplish as much as you'd like to. So I think this is probably a good size for this group, but it's hard to say no to some. So
Yeah.
that's for me as far as discussion.
Yeah. And I'm confident that this is a good, we'll get some very unique and different perspectives that is much needed for this type of committee. So I think everybody will bring some very good thoughts.
I agree. Excellent. Okay, roll call vote.
Roll call vote. Leslie Rutan,
Aye.
Tim Kalen, aye.
Okay, so I think that ends it. We have voted on a motion that will be part of our agenda for the next meeting on November 9th for the Board of Selectmen. So again, I want to say thank you to everyone. We really appreciate it. I'm kind of sad to see this end. It was fun. It was good. Great people.
Yeah, yeah. And again, if please, if take a look at the website, and if you do have some time, look at other committees. It's always, the community is always looking for good people.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you very much. That ends our meeting tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Di, for doing this. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Di. Good job.
How about me?
Thank you, Chief.
Oh, Chief, that's right. Thank you, Chief.
It was all me.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.